it do, Grizz Nation? It's your boy, Evan Hayes with Bluff City Media. If y'all don't know, I'm a writer for the Grizzly staff for BCM, and I'm also on the podcast staff as I am the co-host of the Bluffin Podcast with my boy Chris Ingram. But today, I'm with you for the post-game bounce for last night's game as the Memphis Grizzlies took on the Brooklyn Nets. Tonight, I'm going to give you my positives, my negatives, and then I'm going to give you my whole analytical view and my insider insights. A little rundown of the game, but first, I got to give a shout out and well wishes to Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart as they unfortunately both fell to injuries during last night's game. Marcus Smart sprained his ankle in the first quarter and did not return, and Desmond Bane hurt his oblique muscle in the second half, and he did not return. But the Grizzlies lost to the Nets 119 to 106 last night. Team high for the Grizzlies was Jaren Jackson Jr. with 30 points. Ja Morant had a near triple-double with 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. And Zach Edey and Brandon Clark both had 13 points apiece. For the Nets, Dennis Schroeder was the game high scorer with 33 points. He had 8 assists to add. Cam Thomas had 19 points. And Zaire Williams, in the revenge game for Zaire Williams, he had 17 points in his return to Memphis. Let's get to the positives. Number one, I think this was the best game for Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey. Yes, they looked good on the court together in the few minutes they played together, something that we'll talk about later. Jaren Jackson Jr. looked aggressive. He looked strong. He looked fit. I know he was out early this season with the hamstring injury, but that hamstring injury does not seem to be bothering him anymore. He seems to be back on his Defensive Player of the Year tendencies, being a menace on that end of the floor, blocking shots, affecting shots, the guard and perimeter players. He just seems to be very dialed in on that end of the floor. And he seemed to be the only Grizzly that wanted to hoop when the team was kind of dead in multiple parts throughout the game. Zach Edey also looked very poised in his game today. I feel like it's been his best game with being active on both ends of the floor. He got his hands on the ball early. The first bucket was actually to him. He was getting paint touches early. He was using good touch around the rim, being active around the rim. So that's one thing we like to see. Good to see to Edey. The paint points, as I mentioned before, was a strong shoot for the Grizzlies today. They won the battle in the paint 58-46. They also won the battle on the board slightly, 37-34. And they also tied the assist game as the Nets and the Grizzlies both had 27 assists each. But now, let's get to the negatives. This isn't going to be a very positive episode. There isn't a lot of nice things to talk about because, in my opinion, this is probably the worst loss that we've had in a long time, especially coming after the loss last game against the Bulls. But my negatives are the turnovers, three-point defense, the whole defensive effort, and the rotations of head coach Taylor Jenkins. Starting with the turnovers. The Grizzlies had 22 turnovers last night total throughout the whole game, and that allowed Brooklyn to score 31 points off those turnovers. And all honestly, probably should have been more, but the Nets couldn't capitalize on all of them. But 22 turnovers is inexcusable, especially when you have so many playmakers on the floor like Ja Morant, Scottie Pippen Jr., Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr. All these guys that can handle the ball, and you're turning the ball over this much is not a recipe for success. There was a lot of unforced turnovers, a lot of ill-advised passes, a lot of ill-advised shots that just didn't make the Grizzlies have a flow on the offensive end that we've seen in other games. I feel like part of that was the pace. The Grizzlies made an emphasis earlier this season to push the pace, to play fast, but the pace was extremely slow. The energy was extremely dead in the FedEx Forum. If you were in the arena, you know this. And if you were watching at home, you know this. The team came out flat. The pace was slow. They were turning the ball over. The offense was sloppy. They weren't hitting shots. It is that the energy was low and it never really picked up. Only at the end of the second quarter when they cut the halftime lead to 5. And then in the third quarter when Ja Morant kind of got the energy up in the building when he got Keon Johnson ejected with two quick checks back to back. And that was really the only time when the building got active. Going to three-point defense, a tale that we've been hearing a lot, unfortunately. The Nets hit 15 three-pointers last night. They went 15 for 41 from the three-point line. They definitely look like a team that just got done playing a back-to-back, or overtime back-to-back against the Denver Nuggets. There was two teams on the court. One team that looked tired, one team that looked rested, and it wasn't the Brooklyn Nets, unfortunately. But three-point defense has always been an issue going back to last year, and it reared its ugly head last night. It was a lot of overhelping, a lot of open shots that the Nets were getting. I don't know if that's scheme, I don't know if that's philosophy that Taylor Jenkins is coaching, but they were getting too many open three-pointers. All these guys are in the NBA. If you're getting these guys open shots, they're going to knock him down. And unfortunately, the Grizzlies gave up too many open three-pointers, and that was a source of our demise. All that encompasses is our defensive effort. I saw a lot of times where guys' body language was bad. I saw a lot of times where guys weren't getting back on defense. Their hands weren't active in passing lanes. The defensive effort was lackluster the entire game. It just seemed like the Nets wanted this game more than the Grizzlies. And unfortunately, after coming off a very tough loss to the Bulls, and a lot of commentary was going back and forth, something that John Moran has talked about last night and the Bulls game, that a lot of noise from the outside is kind of getting within the locker room, and these players are hearing it. I would thought that the Grizzlies and John Morant, importantly, since he's the best player on the team, would have responded with some more energy, with some more fire, but we did not see that tonight, unfortunately, and that's a sad side to see. That's very disappointing as a team that had so many expectations to be a championship contending team, and we just frankly don't look like a championship contending team right now. I get it. It's only 5 games in. I get it. It's still October. But I'm a firm believer in the habits that you build in October and November are the habits you're going to have in May, June, and July if you're blessed to play that long. And we just don't look like we're building the good and proper habits to be a championship contender team. Throughout the whole offseason, we heard that the Grizz, they wanted to get done with all the talking and just put all the best effort out on the floor and the best product out on the floor. But we're not looking like the team that for the past 2 seasons, excluding last season, we were the number 2 team in the Western Conference. And a team in a conference that is so competitive, we do not need to be dropping these games early to team that we should beat. But that goes all the way back to the next guy we'll talk about, head coach Taylor Jenkins. I don't know what's up with Taylor Jenkins. He still has his philosophy where he's got these players on the minutes restricted, and he's just playing everyone even type of minutes. Again, 11 guys played in the first quarter. Shouldn't happen. In a game where Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart both get injured. Your 2 best players, Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Moran, both played under 30 minutes. Shouldn't happen. Zach Edey, after having his best half as a Grizzly so far, only played 5 minutes and 50 seconds in the second half and didn't play a minute in the fourth quarter. Shouldn't happen. There was a time where the Grizzlies were making a comeback and they were down by 6 in the fourth quarter, and they subbed John Morant out, where there was a lineup of Scottie Pippen Jr., Jake LaRavia, John Contra, Santi Aldama, and Jay Huff in the game, and the Nets lead skyrocketed. And John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. didn't get back into the 550 mark when they were down 112-99, and it was just a little too late. I don't want to speak in hyperbole because I feel like a lot of people do that, and I don't want to call for another man's job, but I will say something needs to change when it comes to Taylor Jenkins. The philosophy he's having isn't working. He seems to, I don't want to say lost the locker room, but the guys don't seem to be very dialed in with him right now. When John Moran has been asked about the minutes he's been playing, he said he has to live with it. He doesn't seem like he's crazy about it. When Jaren Jackson Jr. was asked about it, he said the game against the Bulls that he wished he could skip through the minutes restriction, but he has to live with it. And Anthony Sane, he pointed this out on Twitter. You can't try to be cute. You can't try to cheat the game of basketball. You have to put the best players out on the floor and you have to play. This is big boy basketball. This is the Western Conference. This is the regular season. Every game matters, and we're not playing like every game matters right now, and it starts with Taylor Jenkins. I don't know what he has to do. He even said he has to prepare the team better, but that's his job, and he has not had this team prepared. These has frankly been the 2 worst losses in his tenure. Definitely this season against 2 teams in the Bulls and the Nets that you should have beat handily, and this isn't a good look early. It's not a good look early. I hope we can turn this around as the Bucks coming to town today, as they are 1-3 on the season. But when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard, it's always a tough out. They're gonna be playing with desperation, as the Grizzlies should be playing with. But I don't know what team will show up. We don't know the status of Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart. Hopefully they can play tonight, but with our history, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't play. But at the end of the day, it starts with the effort. It starts with the want to. It starts with the energy. And it seems like this team is struggling to find their why, struggling to find their purpose right now. We love this team. I love everyone on this team. But something has to change now and fast. And hopefully that can start tonight as the Grizzlies play the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's my thoughts on last night's game. It's still early. There were some good things. Ja Morant, I want to shout out him. He was dialed in on the defensive end this game. He's been playing good defense this whole year, but he really took the responsibility of guarding Cam Thomas and held Cam Thomas to an off night, very inefficient night for Cam Thomas. So there's still good things to build on. But if we want to be the championship team that we've been talking about, things have to change now and fast. It starts at the helm with Taylor Jenkins, Ja Morant, and it trickles down from there. But those are my thoughts on last night's game. I'm glad y'all want to tune in with me. Y'all will see me again in a few weeks on this. I'll make sure y'all tune in to the Bluff City Network for all the shows on Bluff City's network. And those are my thoughts. And as always, go Grizz.